Hey, thank you.
Okay, so good to have you here, and of course, let's start here. We have Malin Bruset from Grow Group.
Yes.
And you're of course nutritional therapist, and you've done a lot of stuff. You're an author too, prolific author, and now an entrepreneur. You'll have to tell us a bit more about that in a short while. We have Anne Fernholm, who's a doctor in molecular biology, but I think you're mostly known for your activism when it comes to having kids eat better food. Also prolific author. And Johanna Westman, you're also prolific author, but a chef and TV personality, of course, as well, also pushing better food for kids.
Yes.
And here we're talking about better food for the future conscious consumers here. Let's start first, though, with asking a bit more about what is that you do, Malin? What is Grow Group? Oh, sorry, Milla. Sorry, I forgot about you almost. Hey! I'm so focused on guests in the studio. Milla is, of course, a fantastic entrepreneur out of Finland, Green Planet Astronauts. And we'll get to you in a second, because first we'll start with Malin. What is a Grow Group?
So Grow Group, we are offering the first fresh cold-pressed baby food in Scandinavia. So we're here to revolutionize the baby food aisle, really, by putting fridge into the baby food aisle. Fresher food for babies.
Lovely. Milla, do you have any response to that? What is that you do?
Thank you for having me, first of all. It's an honor to be part of this panel. So we are Green Planet Astronauts. We are raising a healthy, planet-friendly generation with our 100% organic and plant-based snacks for kids.
Wonderful. Anne, what are you mostly doing these days?
I'm mostly working with an organization called the Dietary Science Foundation, investing in better science around food. And I'm also working with a new web course on how to teach children to eat real food and how important it is to start during the first year of life.
It is, and we heard about that before as well today. The importance of starting out in a good way.
Yeah,
that sets your entire life.
Yeah, that's where you learn new textures and new tastes. Then you go into a stage of neophobia, scientists call it. It's when you're like 1.5, 2 years old. You become Many kids start to become very fussy with food at that time, so you have to teach them to eat real food before they become 1.5 and 2 years old. And I did everything wrong, so I know how problematic it can become.
So did I, of course. Johanna, what's happening in your life these days?
Well, my quest is, as it has been for 20 years, to get the kids to go into the kitchen and start cooking for themselves. I just released the book a couple of weeks ago called Jag fixar middagen, which is a book for kids
to
take over the dinner.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I run a studio with courses for kids, cookery courses for kids.
Yes.
And it's fully booked.
It's fully booked, yes. And you, of course, you've been doing this on national TV too. We had a discussion yesterday regarding what should we do in order to have food being more of a core, or the understanding of food being a core for life. And we had one discussion regarding shouldn't we just skip all the other subjects in school and start teaching everyone to become chefs instead? Could that be something?
Could be.
I don't know if that was a serious question, but to some extent, I guess it was. But do we really know what kids need?
What they need to eat, like
what they need to eat.
Yeah, I suppose we need to eat the kind of food we're evolved to eat. Like you give the dog the kind of food you're evolved to eat, like the cat the kind of food you're evolved to eat. We're evolved to eat natural food.
And do we do that?
No, certainly not.
No. So we do know what this is about, and yet we don't eat this food that we need. And it's really up to us, because the kids have a hard time choosing for themselves.
Yeah.
So the responsibility of giving everyone on planet Earth a good start in life really rests with us.
Yeah.
And how can we achieve this? Because we've failed miserably.
Yeah.
I'd say we need new knowledge, because I written like the big, stora boken om barn och mat, together with
It's the big book on food.
children's
children
food,
and
yeah.
food, yes.
And I written together with Kajsa Lam. She's a, how do you say, a logopedian. How they like know everything about the motorics of the mouth and
The
how
speech development.
yeah, and we need to learn how children learn how to chew food, because that's a really complex thing, and it starts while they're like 4 to 6 months years old, and we miss that now because we give all the small kids all these purees which they can suck into their mouth, and they don't learn how to chew. And also they need to feel the texture of different kinds of foods in their mouth. And when they're not used to that, you increase the risk of them becoming fussy when they get older. And also we'll need to learn some other tastes than the sweet one.
Yeah. No. So,
We have to get away from that thought that children don't like spices and stuff.
so a lot of tricks. We also know that if you can give them small instances of peanuts early, for instance.
Not peanuts, but the
nuts.
butter of peanuts.
The butter of peanuts, yes.
Yeah, not the
Not
nut.
the nut itself. No. But so you
That could be
avoid
dangerous.
allergies here.
Yeah.
Malin, we know that the first 1,000 days from conception to
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the key 2
that's the
years in
key,
life.
yeah.
You really lay the foundation of health those 2
for
years.
the rest of your life.
For the
Everything
rest
from
of your life.
bone structure, brain, tutti,
Brain
right?
development, everything, and nutrition is a key, of course.
Yeah.
I think it's, as Anna is saying here, that knowledge is really the key factor. And unfortunately, I mean, parents don't have that like basic knowledge today, and if we can get that from the health, like BVC, what's that in English?
The child care unit.
Child care unit, exactly. I mean, there's also lack of knowledge there, which is unfortunately. So parents today need to actually search for that knowledge themselves, because baby food can be so easy if you only have those basic tools. So in Grogo, for example, we are supporting parents to actually cook their own baby food. So we have like recipes like this, encourage them, because we believe that homemade is best, and we would like to offer the best alternative to homemade. So, but I also think it could be easy and quite simple, but you need that basic knowledge. And today we're missing that.
And hundreds of millions of children out there in the world are stunted. I mean, like they're not growing to their full potential. Their brains are not developing to their full potential, and it's like. And then they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. And of course, from the economic perspective, that means lower productivity in your societies out there. So isn't this the best investment we can really do? It's actually making sure that these kids get the best
We
start
think
in
so.
life.
Yeah.
You think so?
We think so.
Have you ever met someone who doesn't think that way? No. But how can we make sure that we act on this in a better way than we do today? Milla, what's your vision when it comes to the future of eating for the younger generation?
Yeah, there's a very good discussion going on. Definitely this first 1,000 days, and actually when it already starts at 16 weeks when a baby is in the womb. So that's when the taste bud starts to develop, and that's actually crazy that it's what the mother eats already has an effect on how kids grow up with what kind of a taste, because the taste buds start developing so early on already. So definitely it is a lot about what kind of nutrition is offered from early on. And as we know, like the world is changing and the future of food is very plant-based. So that's why we believe that when you get used to the taste and the whole concept of plant-based already young, you will automatically grow up with the taste.
And that's laying the ground and the basics for the rest of your life, where you can have more better or more vivid taste experiences out there, provided of course that you get the necessary nutrients. What other tricks are there in the book for a parent besides making sure that the kids get good food? You were mentioning,
eating the
chewing.
same kind of food as the kid eats, because we're their guide in their life. They look at us and they want to do what we do. But now many parents buy another kind of food to their kid. And also don't think that all kids like mild tastes. Some kids love real strong tastes. I'm talking, a friend of mine, she's been giving her child like all kinds of foods that she has been eating through the first 1.5 years of life. And now she eats like pure mustard from, like she just takes a spoon of mustard and eat it. So everything can happen if you just let them try.
Should the dogs eat the same food as we use? No, sorry, that was a different question. Johanna, when it comes to, we all know that in Sweden, and this is a sad statistics to share with the world, we eat something like 10 to 15 recipes, and we just circulate them round and round and round. Yeah. And some of these recipes aren't even recipes. It's just boiling some pasta, throwing some prefabricated meatballs onto that, and a dollop of ketchup on top of it, and that's a Swedish traditional dinner. Johanna, Elliot, I think someone here will take care of you and make sure that you have a walk. Perhaps Anders can do that, because or somebody else. So, where was I?
How do we teach people to cook? Is that what you want to know?
The kids teach the parents, because we can't really allow the parents to destroy the future.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure we have to teach the kids, and I think education, of course, is the key to this, both for the kids and their parents, of course. But it's also not only about nutrition, it's about the meal itself. It's about creating a moment of joy around food, cooking, eating, everything. And I think that's one of the main keys to become a more aware person and take control of what you eat, and be interested in what you eat with curiosity. Choose between different courses and different ingredients, and have joy in your cooking and eating.
Yes, and
Jürgen, if I may I jump in?
Sure, absolutely.
That's very interesting, and kids are so smart. They understand from early on, if you explain like what does this and this food have an effect on our own health and our own bodies, but also on the planet. And kids are very smart to actually make these associations with food and what it does to us, really. So just talking about food for kids is probably the best gift we can give.
Probably right, because when we take a look at the future here, we need basically to change our eating patterns and habits in just one generation, and then we might be able to save this before planet goes to hell. And in order to do that, I think it's important that we need to see food for kids not just as food, but actually setting the strategic direction for life itself. And how can we properly get the message out that this is the most valuable thing we can probably do as a society?
Yeah. Can I answer?
Malin, please.
So I think that, you have those parents that are really interested. And it's an adventure to introduce food and teach food, and like when you have that interest as a parent. But not everyone do. For someone, it's just like get something in that, so like for the family, and not even eating the meals together. And then, so I think it's so important to prioritize food knowledge, education into school from like day one. And that needs to be one of the key theme that you're actually learning from, the first grade. And I don't think that as a society we see this. I don't think we really can connect health and food, and that makes no sense for us. But for the society, it's not as a high priority at the moment that it needs to be for us to make a change, unfortunately. That's why we see that children are growing up and have obesity problems and health issues that could be saved by healthy, good nutrition.
Early on in their lives, and good habits early on in life. I kind of wonder, is it even possible to quantify this issue with kids getting a bad food start in life? It's I don't know.
We have such a weird look at nutrition right now. So we have all this, we have this, you should eat these and these vitamins and all these minerals and stuff like that. But I've been reading about the dark matter of nutrition. All this, like in a garlic, you have 2,600 substances. And we don't have a clue what those substances do in our bodies. One thing we know is that we do need these kind of substances.
They're probably amazing.
There's something called allicin, for example, that they believe prevent cancer. And there is Genistein, you have all this kind of, in an egg yolk, you have lutein, you have all these kind of substances that we know we need, but they're not in our nutritional guidelines because we need them long term. Because what's in our nutritional guidelines is everything we need short term. If you don't get iron, you become sick quite fast. But if you don't get lutein, it might take you 15, 20 years to see that effect in the body. So we need to start to talk about all those things we do not know today about food. We also don't know the processing
as well.
Yeah, back to basics, because we know too little. And also when we process the food, it affects the bioavailability of nutrients, so how the body takes up the nutrients. So now this is my biochemist side.
No. But
when I look at the body, I see this beautiful machinery of thousands and thousands of molecules working together to make us function. And we need to eat all the molecules this machinery needs, because we won't get them in another way.
And that's food from nature.
That's right? Food from nature.
That's what we're here.
But still, science is trying to keep up with the food industry. Obviously, research on what actually in specific ingredients to do to our bodies, or specifically in a baby's body, it's a long-term scientific research, whereas food industry is able to bring new products much faster and even market it as something that is healthy. And one of this type of products is fruit puree, which is actually full of fruit. And we're currently part of Nordic's leading research on baby health called Healthy Baby, where we research especially what does fructose do for diabetes 1, and especially cow milk. What kind of a role does cow milk play in diabetes 1 for babies?
Science galore. We need science here. And I think you're uttering a couple of beautiful words here. Biomolecules, bioavailability, biochemical pathways, dark matter. And that's really pointing to what food is. It's not just food. It's something entirely different. May I push another question? Here in Sweden and in other places of the world, we speak so much about the importance of the car sector, or the importance of energy or building, and we don't talk about the importance of kids and nutrition. Could this have anything to do with the fact that it's mostly women and little children?
Hope not.
So are we structurally not recognizing this because of
equality
issues?
That's an interesting question. I have to think about that before I answer.
I'm not sure either. Maybe it's not enough money. It's always about the money, isn't it?
It is.
Not enough money. We're talking literally about trillions upon trillions of dollars here in lost output and.
But you earn money from manipulating the food. You take wheat and you break it down to pure wheat starch, gluten, maltodextrin, and then you make glucose fructose syrup from it. And then you have all these kind of powders, and you mix them into you can make a vegan sausage out of starch, emulsifiers, and a little bit of purified protein. You have taken away all the dark matter of nutrition, and you're just taking those pure substances, and we think like you have this pure starch. I mean, you have taken away all that's good for the body, and you have this pure starch. It's one of the most common ingredients in food.
And it's cheap.
Sugar has become the third most common ingredient in foods.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely silly.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's so weird. But then back to the question, what do we have to do in order to change this rapidly? That we value the nutrition for kids early on.
I think we need, like, first of all,
Legal?
new dietary guidelines saying that, I like the Brazilian ones. Eat natural food, avoid highly processed foods, learn how to cook, enjoy the food together if you can, if you live with somebody else. If you don't know, share like different recipes with each other. So they have like this focus on eat real food and enjoy it.
No, you're far too kind. I'm thinking about pitchforks and torches and, marches towards the parliament here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe we need that to get new dietary guidelines, because they need to be based on better science.
But do we need a minister for early days nutrition?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, why not?
Do we need a party in parliament?
I also think that, as Milla said, that when it comes to research and science, I mean, a lot is happening also when it comes to nutrition and really learning this that Anne is talking about. And I hope that very soon we will know enough about the importance through science and research. And then when we have that knowledge, then I think that could be easier.
But isn't that the same BS as when we talk about climate? Because we've known for ages what's happening to the climate, and yet behind is that we need some more knowledge, we need some more information, more data, and as an excuse for not acting on this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no money in healthy food, not like clean vegetables and fruits. It's no money in that business, unfortunately.
But I believe also our dietary guidelines are stuck like in a way we thought like during the 1970s, when we looked at like protein, fat, carbs, vitamins, minerals. But we have to look at it as a food as a whole thing.
So
we know too little about the bioavailability of different substances, about so many things. So we just have to think. You said that it was bad to talk about the dog, but if you had a dog having stomach problems and you went to the vet and you told the vet that you gave the dog snacks every Friday, Saturday candy, a bun on the Sunday, you drank a Coke after the football training.
I would never feed my dog shit.
No, exactly. But then if you take a kid to the doctor and you have stomach problems, they look if you have milk protein intolerance, if you have gluten intolerance, if you have all these kinds of diseases, but they never tell you eat the kind of food the child is made for. So I believe we have to start to think about what are we made for to eat? What did we eat during our evolution?
Milla, will you promise to lead the revolution on this one?
I definitely lead the revolution for this one, because the future of food is changing and we need to start with the kids, absolutely. And I love the idea. It's a very beautiful thought that we would all go back to our kitchens and cook. But the fact is that life as it is not, unfortunately, going to this direction, but rather to the very opposite, where we old latte moms, we don't probably have that much time to spend in the kitchen for XYZ reasons. So that's why we as a food industry, we have to be able to come up with better, ready, easy, and affordable solutions.
I think kind of one suggestion from me is perhaps just go more technical and build proper manuals that guys can read and take pride in, and a lot of new technical gadgets for the kitchen. so they can get engaged. We can measure the development of the kids.
It's fun enough
post it on
anyway.
Facebook.
I fully agree.
Are there
Today actually we are launching this barnmatköket, like baby kitchen with dads cooking, because we want to like empowering dads as well, because they don't get that much attention. There's no community for dads, and especially here, like in Scandinavia, dads are taking a lot of the responsibility for also baby food. So like I totally see your point there.
Yes, and we could perhaps start by serving kids dog food, because that seems to be better for...
No, dogs should eat what dogs are made for. We should eat what we...
made for.
Yeah. So the kids need to learn how to eat the things we eat as parents, because that's what we want to serve them like when they grow up. And since you don't eat dog food, you shouldn't like serve your child dog food. They don't need to learn the texture.
My children would sometimes probably claim that I serve dog food, but that's entirely different. So we have another comment here from the audience. This is an Arvid Narula comment. We are not going to stop processed foods. Even good stuff like meatless meats are processed. The focus needs to be on how to make these clean, nutrition-based. Early days, so controls need to be put now. Thoughts?
I fully agree. That was actually my next comment. Like as Milla said, we will continue looking for fast solutions. So we need to make those fast solutions healthier and produce less processed products that is tasty and ready to go. So, we're working on it, right, Milla? Fresher baby food.
We're working on it. It is actually interesting, Jörgen, what you said before. What could we do as a society, or what the government could do? Taxation is one. It has been definitely discussed in Finland what we could do to promote more plant-based foods through taxation, but still, as we noticed, we had sugar tax and it didn't work. So I'm a little bit skeptical whether taxation is one of the drivers.
Okay, and another question then. So when you had your first kids, at least I remember, we were kind of cash strapped. You were young, kids are expensive, etc. Should we just finance food for the first years when you're new parents as a society?
Or make it VAT free, for example.
No?
Yeah, exactly. VAT food, good food should be VAT
because
free.
It's such a good investment.
Yeah.
Maybe it's expensive to give all the kids all the food, but
I don't know.
Still it should be cheaper to buy. Today it's it's 4 times more expensive, counting per calorie, to buy carrots than to buy candy. And it has to be the opposite. It has to be more expensive to buy candy than carrots.
Johanna, so what's your take on this? You've been on the forefront of teaching kids how to cook, and
for the first, I don't really think about kids' food and food for adults. For me, food is food, and good food is good food. And I don't really agree on that we don't have time to cook either, because I think we do. We just do other stuff with our time. We have so much time spent on looking at our phones, and maybe even looking up what kids should eat and trying to read about nutrition and stuff, instead of actually go into the kitchen with our kids and buy vegetables and stuff, and doing trying experiments together. So I'm still on this of the joy of cooking and the joy with food, rather than talking about what. Of course, we should know what kids need to eat, but our body is also programmed to pick out what we really need. The problem is that we are surrounded with so much stuff that we don't need, and that looks so delicious to us that we just can't stop ourselves with the candy and buns and everything. So if we could just get that away from our sight, I think we all could eat much healthier without any, struggle. We just choose it because it's good for us.
I think it's great. And that's actually a comment from Arvin Narula, who's listening in here, and then he's the largest producer of organic rice in Asia. Probably means the world then. And he says, why don't someone start a label with guaranteed non-processed food? And
We're getting an app with sugary food at least. We will release that one soon.
Yeah. More information, pitchforks towards the parliament, new rights for kids when they grow up. Thank you all for joining this. This has been a great panel, and I look forward to the next occasion already now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.